So we are now recording the May 15th, 2020 Small Business Accounting Advisors. Hello, everyone.
Happy Friday.
Hello, happy Friday.
Happy Friday, everyone.
Happy Friday.
We made it, right?
Woohoo!
I don't know, they're all blurring together for me.
Yeah, I have a little hard time knowing what day it is.
Yeah.
Well, I still do shut down on Fridays, and my weekends are mine. I am trying very hard to be faithful to that. That's part of my balancing act.
You know what I'm doing on the weekends, though? With all this COVID and everything, the one chore that just wasn't getting done was getting everybody's 2020 installed, and then their
That qualifies
data files changed.
work, Miss Sarah.
So I'm doing major data work. Like I got it installed on all their machines, and then I'm trying to see if I can condense and make the file smaller and get rid of all the corruption, and and then convert it to 2020. And then it's got a new feature where you can strip out the old audit trail and make it even smaller. So I want them to start off with their 2020 program with the best data file I can give them.
Nice.
And it's time consuming, so I've been doing that at night and on the weekends. And I'm running out of May.
Chance you can strip out the corruption that's going on Capitol Hill?
That's impossible.
Oh, well.
No, I want something that I can figure out how to solve.
Something we really can have some control over.
So yeah, I was doing really well with having the off about 5 or 6 and then getting my weekends. But I think until the end of May. Plus it's audit season. And the tax people are showing up again. They're like, okay, we're back doing tax returns. I'm like, I sent that to you at the end of February. You did? I had one of those this week. And I'm like, what do you mean I didn't send it to you?
People need that done now, and especially the people with the PPPs. And also, I read today that there's a PPP safe harbor. I don't know if you saw that.
They had to do something like that. I mean,
yay!
You can't have multi-millions of dollars of loans at one time, and you just don't have enough resources. So they threatened, and all the banks were sending out these letters, and people were actually just scared and gave the money back.
Right. But I'm
And I
glad
had clients going, "What about me?" And I'm like, "You've been closed for a month and a half with no revenue. Don't
relax. Yeah.
The part that's scary about it is the need, like they were saying, it's the need to be able to prove that you didn't have the liquidity otherwise within your business.
I know, that's
I
crazy.
saw that they threw that in, but for the small businessmen, actually the smaller businesses under the $1 million don't really have the resources that the bigger businesses
and that's what they finally
and they
said.
don't have the record keeping, sadly. I mean, this might put a little bug in them to get them to start doing it a little bit better, but.
So the language in it, I do agree that the smaller businesses are going to be fine. But if you really read the language in that interim final ruling, all it says is for businesses that are less than $2 million, we agree to accept your initial certification and that we will not make you certify again. It does not say they will not audit it, review it, or anything else. It says they will accept the initial certification itself. Now,
there's still a chance.
I don't think they're going to do that though. Yeah.
I can't imagine they'd ever have the resources, but it could be like an IRS audit where they're just going to randomly
pick whatever. I don't think they'll have the IRS agents available to even randomly.
It's not IRS, it's SBAA.
They don't have, IRS is still closed down.
It's the SBA that would audit, not the IRS.
Oh,
That's not the IRS's job.
No.
But even the SBA, it's still a huge job.
They don't have the resources.
So
The banks aren't going to do it. The banks are like, don't look at us.
All we want to do is give out the money and get paid.
So a friend of mine today said that they were hearing something about the HEROES Act Are you familiar with that?
Oh, that's the new one. Oh,
Yes, so
gosh.
here's the new one. While the final package won't be the HEROES Act being debated and voted on by the House today, the act would allow an employer to use both employee retention credit as well as the PPP. Section 2201 of the act,
That's in there?
that's in there, would be allowing an employer to utilize the credit if they have at least 10% decrease in the revenue from the comparable quarter in 2019.
There's a
Wow.
more audited.
Lesser of 15,000 or 80% of the qualifying wages of employees per quarter, not exceeding the credit of $45,000 per employee. The credit
Just
is
making it more and
prorated
more complicated.
for
Don't worry about this one.
revenues declined between 10 and 50%. Welcome to get your homework out again.
Well, so what
Not
happens?
until that's a
with
law.
This is
I'm not even gonna read it.
honestly, don't even worry about it yet for one reason. They literally took everything that they wanted on the table and threw everything.
Oh, yeah, I know.
So it's done on purpose to where some of it will go through.
Yeah.
Some of it'll stick.
I personally, I'm not somebody on Congress. I think one of the smartest things that could happen, instead of keep tossing all this money out the way they are, they need to loosen up what businesses can use as a tax deductible expense.
Yeah.
Meals and entertainment, put it back on there. Allow me to go buy clothes as uniforms, put it on there. Computer equipment, just if you
My little
open
doggy
that
as
up,
an
business
employee.
spend money. I'm sorry?
My
Security.
little
Not
doggy
that
as an
much.
employee.
That's your
The
security
dog on
system.
the payroll.
At least the dog food.
Exactly.
And the vet visits.
Yeah, because that will get people out spending money, right? And that keeps people working. And that's how you can rebuild it. If you just keep tossing money out into we're going to look back on this as the time we turn to socialism in this country.
Yeah, just threw money at people. I read an article today about such a high, well, I don't know how they would know this without random calling, but a high number of people are saying that they put their stimulus money in savings. It's like we're afraid to spend it or guilty. The ones that don't need it went, that's like welfare, hold on. And so they put it aside. Some are donating it. Some people are already getting full services. And so why did they get it too? I mean, it's just a mess. No matter how you look at
I'm
it.
hearing, other scary stuff about the stimulus payment, about people that have been deceased for several
Yeah.
years and
Yeah.
coming in.
At least for a year.
So, but gosh, this thing is just never ending. It just feels like it's not stopping. I mean, they're talking like September, and are the kids going back to school? Really?
I doubt it.
No, we were talking about scaling new heights today. I guess it's just subject. I mean, we just don't know if we're going to be able to get together in Orlando. But
Maybe they could provide hazmat suits or something when you go there.
Put the little kids in a little.
With maybe a Scaling Heights logo on the chest.
So they
you
know
see the restaurant that people were up in arms about, but I think it was for funny.
Arizona.
I think it was a restaurant being funny, and it was overseas somewhere, and they had the hat with the pool noodles.
Yeah, that's Germany.
So the Germany, so they're sitting to make the social. I mean, you gotta laugh at some of the stuff, except that you don't realize how close or far 6 feet is. But
There's one restaurant did the shower curtains around each table.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but then there's all these studies now that are saying they've been studying airflow. It's a combination of airflow and how much virus you're actually shedding, because everybody who's infected sheds differently. And so somebody 30 feet away, if there's not enough airflow, it's the length of time you're exposed. So
Right.
where you walking by somebody at the grocery store, you have a really low risk. But if you sit somebody next to somebody in the choir loft, it's high risk.
Yeah.
Even if you're 8 feet away, but you're next to them for a long time, so
Right.
I don't know. I want to see, we need more science. It's like,
Yeah, we do.
what
We
is
need
taking
more.
so long to get real data of how this stuff is moving around?
Politics.
The election. That's what.
You're like, so.
Yep.
That should be very interesting.
Well, it's
That
the
should be-
tracing.
Yeah.
It's to be able to try to find, okay, how did it get from one person to the other? And that's really not easy to do, I guess. I don't know.
So I
Well,
have a
they're
question on
apparently
that.
hiring people to do that now.
Assuming they're not infected.
Yeah.
FFCRA, Families First Coronavirus Response Act, where
Mhm.
people, if you have been impacted by, or if you've been infected with COVID, or if you're awaiting a diagnosis, you can be paid for 2 weeks up to 80 hours because you have to be quarantined or isolated. I want to know if they're doing all this tracing,
Mm-hmm.
if you get called because there's a concern that you may have been in contact with somebody with COVID. Can you get that in writing? Because the employer has to have some kind of documentation to be able to get those tax credits back.
Not all employers are following that either.
No.
I do
Mm-mm.
know someone that was contacted that somewhere where she worked, she's considered an essential works in the telephone division. One of her coworkers came up positive, and they sent them all home, spent a day cleaning the building, and said, y'all got to come back now. And if you don't come back, you're not getting paid. You have to take the time off without pay, and you are not eligible for unemployment.
How does that not make the news, but the person from the bar in Arizona does make the news?
Right. Well, talk to me about this. The extended FMLA, which I thought that's what it is, that says, okay, if you have to go, if you're sick with COVID and have to go home, or the child's out of school, or
3 things, yeah.
your relative has it, or whatever the reason is, that they have to not let you go. But where is it that it says you have to pay them?
Oh, so, well, okay. It is. It's actually the Families for the FFCRA, and the
Right.
way it works is, again, so to kind of reiterate what you said, version 1 is if you are an employee and you are infected,
Impacted.
or if you are awaiting a medical diagnosis that to be cleared, and you've been told that you have to quarantine or isolate, then in that scenario, you are entitled up to 2 weeks, 80 hours pay at full rate of pay, regular like hourly wage.
That was extended to every state in the union.
But here's the hard part of it, especially at the beginning. The problem with that is the duty falls on the business owner to pay that, and then they get tax credit back, dollar for dollar tax credits. So like for Mary, one of the other ones is her son, the daycare was closed. So she is taking a couple hours twice a week that she can't work because she has to take care of her son. So we have processed through the second of those 2 versions. They have like different titles to it, and but it's all underneath the same thing, that she can receive up to 2/3 of her normal pay if she has to care for somebody else, or if their child's care or school is closed for up to 80 hours, 2 weeks.
Why are all these people on unemployment? Because as soon as all the schools and the daycares closed, we're talking millions and millions of people are at home because of the kids, mainly.
Want to know why I think?
Go to work. So
$600?
This is my personal opinion. I could be completely wrong. If I am wrong, we win. If I'm right, we lose. Okay.
Yeah.
This whole PPP thing, we had this huge situation that all of a sudden we recognized the federal government's like, we're about to have a whole bunch of people on unemployment racking up federal debt.
Right.
Unless we create, say, a PPP program, and we set up these loans, which are supposed to have forgiveness, and let's have all of the business owners take these loans. The government won't have to have as much federal debt from unemployment. Right. And we're going to tell them these are going to be forgiven. So they may still be, right? But if they're not, they effectively took all of this debt that would have just been unemployment like crazy, stuck it on small business owners that if it's not forgiven, will have to pay these loans off, even if it's at a 1% interest.
Okay, so the expectation was that we would give them paid time off, keep them on the payroll, and then use the PPP money. What I'm not seeing is,
Well, the problem with that is the small businesses do not have the cash in their bank account to
that would have been weeks and weeks and weeks ago
You
that
have to have
aren't
the
even
cash
allowed to be used for PPP.
in your hands.
Here's the other problem.
Right.
Unemployment, you make more money collecting unemployment now than you do for your job. And so these restaurants got their PPP money. I was talking with the client this morning, and they refused to come back to work. So one of the business owners said, fine, I'm going to send them a paycheck and pay them and let them duke it out with unemployment, which I don't agree with, but that's the mentality that's out there right now.
Reduces their unemployment. But if they refuse to come back to work, they're fired. I mean, they quit.
It doesn't matter.
It's odd to say that they didn't quit.
Unemployment made it so it's so lax that, oh, I'm afraid that, I'm high risk. My job will quit me.
Being afraid is not grounds.
Yeah, but that's how they wrote it.
You are correct.
But I'm not seeing, I'm going back to the families first.
And the unemployment is so backed up that by the time they figure out that you're getting a paycheck and the unemployment, these people are going to have two times.
Right.
To pay the money back. Oh, I got a phone call this morning. I forgot. Okay. When we upload our DOLs, Social Security number, name, and wages every quarter, the very first time Georgia opened up their website, we were required to file them online. Whoever put in the Social Security number and the names, if they made a mistake, you would never know it unless the person wants to make an unemployment claim. So what happens is every quarter, it just comes up pre-populated and you just put in gross wages and you're done. So even though your W-2s are tested and they're fine and your payroll program's fine and all that, what happened was out of, thousands of W-2s that we do, there were 2 that we've been reporting the wrong Social Security number for years, okay? And of course, they have no mechanism to fix it. But the phone call I got this morning, the bookkeeper had put the last name in the first name field and the first name in the last name field for the last 3 years. And so he closed, everybody goes out for unemployment and they all got letters saying you have no wages. And he called the Department of Labor and he's like, the Social Security numbers are fine. They're just switched. Can't you see that it's switched?
Well, at least he got someone when he called.
He actually got someone on the call, but they're and I talked to, I said, they're going to fix it. I said, unless that human being gave it to you in writing, there's nothing to say that they're going to fix it. I don't know who you were talking to.
That's great.
But
I can't tell you how many times
you have got to amend.
We're going to fix it.
DOLs.
Hang up the phone and nothing's done. They just say, call done.
But the corrected DOL form isn't designed for that. It's designed to fix wages, not I reported this and I need to correct it to that as far as the name. So I don't know how to do it. I didn't know what to tell them, but the entire company. So when you put in those DOLs, it's just going on record.
And they don't check it against anything.
It's not tested to the state or a federal. Or,
right. Just sitting there hanging out all by itself.
Yeah. I don't know. I was just looking at the families first because it panicked me because an employer, I could see California, y'all have your own rules, but to force a small company to pay, to force them to pay time off when they don't have the cash, I don't understand that. But this says too, if it's under 500 or more employees.
Yeah, I thought that was the case. I mean, it hits everyone that has an employee, period.
Because that would be, once the city shut down, that would mean everybody's getting forced to be paid time off. And I don't see that anywhere. going on around me.
I don't either. I think that there may be a clause that if it will bankrupt your company,
Well, and I think you might have to,
you can opt out.
so this is effective April 1st for leave taken between April 1st and December 31st. And then if you have fewer than 500 employees, if at the time your employee's leave is to be taken, you employ fewer than 500, then it's talking about full-time equivalents, blah, blah, blah. God, do they make anything easy?
No.
No. If I'm a private sector employer and I have 500 or more, does the act apply to me? No, you're already required.
But the person that has 2 employees, the very small, the micro.
Mine are all under 30. Just about
No,
every client's under 30.
Not one of them have the cash to support that. And how can you make someone pay something if the cash is not there? And all they're going to get back is a credit when they do their tax return?
Oh, wait a minute.
So,
I got the copy of the new, you're supposed to put it up on your bulletin board.
oh, nice.
This one says the act requires certain employers to provide their employees with paid sick leave or expanded family and medical leave for specified reasons related to COVID, blah, 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 blah. You're entitled to up to 2 weeks, 80 hours or part-time equivalent of paid sick leave based on the higher of your regular rate. Okay. Eligible. In general, employees of a private sector employers are with fewer than 500 and certain public sector employers are eligible for up to 2 full weeks of sick leave. I was thinking, I was reading, but
Well,
that's scary because I thought it said, but unless there's another reason, let's say in general, fewer than 500 are eligible for up to 2 weeks of paid sick leave. Okay, may I it? Where is it?
We'll say to be continued.
To be continued, because if this is on the bulletin board, the person now, and also I think they have to do employees have to request in writing when they go out on FMLA?
I don't know that they do or they don't. The employers have to do. They have to agree to pay them for the employees to go out. Like I said, I have a friend that I said that to her and she said, not in my company.
This says qualifying reasons. You've been advised by a healthcare provider to self-quarantine. You've got symptoms and you're seeking medical diagnosis. You're caring for an individual. Your child's school is closed. Okay, that's practically, that right there, the way this is written is like, you can't put anybody on unemployment. You would have to pay everybody. But
Well,
then
good luck with that. Yeah.
But I thought that if it was like less than 50 or something, you could request
That's
forgiveness.
the catch.
what I want to find out is how do you request to be exempt from this?
Right. Well, to be continued.
Okay.
To be continued.
Yeah.
So what's everybody doing? Is everybody doing certifications and webinars and all that kind of fun stuff? Sarah, I know you're working.
I've been watching a lot of webinars. I have. And a lot of trying to get caught up on software. Like we moved the practice management over to ClickUp, and I'm real behind on all the new features and the little training things. So and then, with me, as soon as I get these next 2 audit preps done, I am going to spend the next June, July. I'm just going to do and I told my employees too, I said, now's our chance to learn. It isn't billable, but it's, it's an investment on our part to spend.
Right. Let me ask who Group Leaders is.
Yeah.
Hello?
You there?
I'm not sure who Group Leaders is.
Ernest.
Hi, Ernest.
Ernest!
I'm glad you
Hey,
spoke
Ernest, group
because we're
leader.
about a second from being booted. Sorry.
He almost booted you out there, computer.
So
Did you change your name for some other webinar or what?
I didn't know who it was. I'm sorry.
Scared her.
I was hovering there.
Well, now that Ernest is here, I gotta go. So, guys.
That's because you don't want me to call you out for not being able to run my report.
Uh-oh.
Oh, you want to be like that, huh?
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Them's be.
We have to
not
be
that
nice
I
and be
can't.
kind here.
It's that QuickBooks Desktop is better for that,
Yeah, there you go.
right? See,
You know, the whole reason I asked for that
was good, though.
was I literally, right, I started reselling Power BI, and I think, you know, I'm running my books out of QuickBooks Online.
Yeah.
And I thought it was like a no-brainer report, like show me the profitability of Power BI, you know, this one line item. And I was just like, how can an accounting system not be able to show me the profitability of something I'm selling? I was just like, baffled.
So
Has to
first
be set up
question.
a certain way.
Has to be run through his inventory?
First question's going to be,
Or a
and by the
service?
way, I think it was a great question. Loved it. And I'm actually glad you did that. But first question and to counter was, is Power BI set up in your software with both a cost and a retail price? Yes. And you sell, is it so it's a non-inventory item?
Yes.
So what you need to do is go onto Twitter and pull up Sasan Godarzi and send him a tweet saying that you want that feature and see if it does anything. So, but you're right.
Don't you
You
agree
can't
that
do a
it's
two-sided
kind of
item code?
So it could be done if we did something external. And I knew the intent was not talking about going to Excel, not doing like fancy something else. It's because he's right. It should just be, here's profitability. And I didn't see how I could do it. So he's right.
So I actually found an article, just so you know how much I set you up there. I actually found an
I'm glad you
article
spent the time to set me up. Thank you.
on QuickBooks. And I was so appalled when I saw it. Somebody from the Intuit team went out and said, oh, in order to do that, you need to go to the sales detail, get the sales, go to the purchase details, get the purchase, and put them together in Excel.
Manually.
So to manually do that.
And I was like, you're kidding. They must just be ill-informed.
Nope, that was the right answer. But of course, actually, the true moral to the story is, please contact Ernest Cook. He can actually create you a custom dashboard.
That's right.
So make
That's
sure
right.
you get any that you need at any time.
So I want to go back to the age of bookkeeping, the virtual Intuit conference that was put on last week. Did anybody? Yeah, it had Mariette, it had Liz, it had Aaron, it had Stacy. Had some really power hitters in there. Did anybody watch it?
I started to.
Okay.
What was QBO oriented,
And then-
right?
And then I said, this isn't for me because I've been doing this 20 years, but maybe my new girl should watch and understand where this industry is going because it had a lot of basic concepts.
It did have a
I
lot of
didn't watch
basic.
the whole thing, so fill me in on the end.
The end part, Mariette was the last one, and she did an amazing job in the life cycle of bookkeeping. There are some new things that they've done, or they've changed or added things with the work tab. Like when I first tried that out, it really just was not robust enough. They've added reoccurring projects, which made it a game changer. So you can now do monthly bookkeeping as a project with week 1, 2, 3, and 4 with tasks and checklists in them. So really becomes usable at that point. Some of the other things that they've done in the resources is added engagement letters. and things to actually help bookkeepers. It's been a really long time since I've looked at any of them. Like you, Laurie, I've been doing this for 20 years, and I really didn't think that I would get anything out of this. But seeing how much they've put into the resources for the actual bookkeepers really did impress me a lot.
And so that's why I thought it would be great for my team to watch it, because I'm trying to get them to buy into where accounting is going and buy into, you know, what we're trying to build. You know, you have to understand, I'm probably the youngest bookkeeper in my office, and I don't do any bookkeeping. I do a lot of high level stuff, training, controllership, cash flows. But I need to groom people to get up to that next level, and I got to get the buy-in for it. And that's probably like the hardest part. Like, I have a bookkeeper that's worked for me for 5 years, and she's a workhorse, but she doesn't like to go out of the box. She wants to do it her way. And she's got to understand that that's going to become obsolete.
Right, exactly. And I do think you are right that this was geared toward the new bookkeeper, the person that's starting out their business. Well, I wish they really had those resources when I was starting out.
Have you noticed in your QBO under training that they now have a bookkeeping course?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yes.
So they've added a lot of new things.
Added a lot of resources.
That you and I that have been doing this for years and years and have kind of developed it along the way,
Right.
you know, at least they have a start or an outline for people to use and work. And I think it is a really good resource for the bookkeeper that's just coming into the scene now.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you learn of that webinar that they gave? And is there a
I
recording of it?
know. How did I miss
the
that?
VCon?
Might have been.
Where'd you learn about that?
I actually posted it out on Twitter that they were doing this. So I tweet a lot of this stuff, but if you're ever curious, like, I can tell you what's coming up.
You know what, Mariette? I think had a newsletter that went out on email.
And I did put it in the group, I think maybe a week or two ago.
Mm-hmm.
That it was coming up. And normally the virtual conferences, you know, you've been to one, you've been to two, gets a little bit old. It's all repeating the same things all over. They used the same template for the virtual conference. Like, you had the meeting room, you had the lobby, that type of thing. But what they didn't have was 59 different vendors. They took all of that out and they made it strictly for bookkeeping. So, and learning the basics in the bookkeeping, and Mariette, like I said, tied it up really amazing. She called it the life cycle of bookkeeping, and it went through everything. What do you need to do every week? What tasks do you need to perform? What do you need to do at the end of the month? What do you need to do at the end of the quarter? What do you need to do at the end of the year? She went through the whole life cycle. Now, see, if I had taken a project like that on, I'd still be teaching it, but she was able to condense it down. I don't know if it was an hour and a half or 2 hours, but she got it all in that amount of time.
Age of the bookkeeper. I'll be darned. Because it's those tasks and those cycles that we're building out in ClickUp. Because so much is in our head, like,
exactly.
Like, I've been doing this for 30 years. If I'm going to go close somebody's books, I mean, I just dive in and,
I have to ask Mariette if there's slides available for that.
I'd love to compare that to how, because now what I'm doing is, I don't care how long you've been a bookkeeper, I shouldn't say dumb it down, but just detail it out. Because my big thing is, if you get sick or hit by a bus or something happens, I need somebody new to pivot and go take care of your client, because the client is who I have to take care of. So when things are in your mind, it just you've got like just general checklists. Those are okay, but I want detailed checklists. And then even go even further, like, you learn clients. So you go, oh, this client always misposts this for 30 years. She's always, you give up, and that just becomes one of your things to do is go look for da-da-da because you know she's going to do it wrong.
Right.
Even things that are unique to that client. And once it's on a check format, it speeds you up. Because
It does, and it keeps you from missing that thing.
Especially like I try to get everybody to go, open it up, work one client at a time, and finish it. Okay, because I'm the one that's hopping around, start and stop, but I don't want my gals to do that. I want them to go, okay, today's so and so, it's Tuesday morning, and this is so and so's day, and they should be able to just whip through it because it takes all that brain power out of it. Like and you don't have that worry that you're going to forget something.
Right. Exactly.
And then as soon as you're held up, like I'm held up, they can flag it as held up. And if they need me, they can flag me and it comes up on, mine. But it takes years to learn.
Oh,
Nobody
absolutely.
taught us that. That's just trial and error and figured it out, didn't we?
Well, that's where we're at now.
Yep.
We've already done that trial and error.
They actually have another VCon coming up in May, doing transforming client success, and that's May 20th through the 21st.
Okay.
And that's with
Wednesday.
Carla Cardwell, Vanessa Vasquez, Debbie Kilsheimer, Tyler McBroom, Renee Daggett, and Deb Deffer.
So if you don't mind, if you have that up, can you post that to the group?
So this is sponsored by Intuit?
Yep.
These.
Yep.
Oh, transforming client success, how to help your clients now. Wednesday, May 20th. It's a free VCon. Nice days.
Awesome.
I found it on Mariette's Facebook page is where I found it. So.
She's turned into it. Well, she always was. I always knew Mariette was a little dynamo.
Yeah,
But,
I know.
you can really,
to have a fraction of her energy.
really. All righty. Do we want to talk about anything else before we end? Anything else on the table?
I wonder, did anybody go to the Caltex conference?
Oh, the one in London?
Yeah.
No, did you have trouble understanding the accents over?
No, actually, it was fun listening to a bunch of Brits early in the morning.
I love it, yeah. I didn't have time.
Sorry.
Nobody else went?
Nobody else went.
Did you
So,
go?
hey, Matthew, one of the things that I picked up that I thought was pretty interesting is I did, one of the sessions I did was on how to use video. And I found there were settings in my iPhone to like literally quadruple the quality of my videos.
Oh, wow. Wow, nice.
So yeah, I posted that on Facebook, but the exact setting. But I thought that was I was like, wow. So by default, right, because it creates such a huge file size, even though the capacity is there with the camera and everything, they don't turn it on. So
right.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's just a good point, right? For anybody who is trying to do that, they can actually have, as the speaker said, BBC quality video.
Nice.
Just the file size is a lot bigger. Literally double.
Yeah.
All righty,
yeah.
everybody. I think we're going to end for today. So have a great weekend. We'll see you all same time, same place next week.
Bye.